filing return, we are supposed to, we have the statutory time limits by which we have to file the returns, and if we are not filing returns, the system captures the for how many days you have delayed the filing of return, and it sends notices immediately. Within by next month, it will come to us that these many days you have delayed, and this is your fees. Fees and penalty are different here. So for non-deduction and non-late payment of TDS, interest is different, fees is different, penalty is different. So for for late payment, interest is 1%, 1.5%, and for non-deduction, mean we didn't deduct at all, that is 1%. For late filing of TDS returns under section 234E, there are two things in this. One is fee and second is penalty. Section 234E, if the return is not filed properly, and immediately after due date, the system starts calculating the interest, fees for late filing. The fee will be collected at 200 rupees per day or amount equal to TDS, whichever is lower. Suppose if there is a delay of 30 days, 30 into 2 is 6,000 rupees and TDS paid is some 8,000. In that case, late fee will be 6,000 because whichever is lower, that will be the fees. And we have one more section 271H in this case for late filing of TDS returns. 271H is I will go to that section. 271H is for E is fees, which is inescapable. Everybody has to pay. Whereas 271H, which is a penalty, will come in the case of if we are system sends notices to us and we have not we have deducted, we have remitted, but we have not filed the return, and we are not filing return even after 1 year from the end of the date in which the return was supposed to be filed. If it is more than 365 days, the penalty will be levied. If it is less than 1 year, penalty will not be applicable if the deductor has deducted and remitted the amount in time and filed the return within 1 year. If all these things are not happening, 271H penalty will come, which is 10,000 to 1 lakh rupees, which is the liability of the deductor. It will not be deducted from the deductee, but the deductor has to pay from its own from its package. So that is one penalty section, and we have one more penalty section. Previous slide. So we have one more section, penalty section under 271C, where we failed to deduct TDS. We are making payments for contract, professional fees, and rents and interest, other things, but we are not remitting. We are not deducting TDS at all. That is in this case 271C penalty will come, which is equivalent to amount of tax which such person has paid to deduct. So it is equal to amount of tax only. So this is section 271C, and we have prosecution proceedings also under section 276B. We have deducted the tax and we have not remitted. There are many cases like this, and in these cases, prosecution can be launched under section 276B, which is rigorous imprisonment for 3 months to 7 years. Apart from the other things, if the person is not going for compounding, then these prosecution proceedings are there. And in these cases, the limit is already I told you, so 25 lakhs or more than 60 days delay. So in both cases, prosecution can be launched. So this liability is of the deductors only. With great responsibility, there is a liability also. So this is your personal liability apart from your organization. Whoever is a deductor, they will also be prosecuted as co-accused. So these are the sections under which I emphasized on interest payment, late fees, interest, penalty things. Now I will emphasize on what are the common mistakes we do. One is non-deduction. Either we are not aware, are aware also, but we are not having the funds, so we don't deduct. And next is short deduction. We deduct, but not at the correct rate or not the correct amount. and non-remittance after the deduction. If we deduct but we don't remit it, and we quote wrong PAN of the deductee, we deduct, we remit, but we didn't quote the right PAN of the deductee, and non-filing of TDS returns in time, and challan mismatch. All these things are the most common mistakes observed by all the deductees, and more especially in the case of government deductees, which results in huge demand on the case of government sector deductors. So whatever be the default, we get intimation under section 200A along with demand notice. The deductor is allowed to make corrections within 30 days. The moment you get notice under 200A, please see that and make it correct the default which is there. In most of the cases, the default is on account of some clerical or some mistake committed by the data entry operators or deductors. So if it is not corrected within 30 days, the demand will become due and you have to pay the demand. That is again liability of the deductors. It will not be deducted from the deductee but from your own account. So there is any mismatch will result in any defects in filing of quarterly statement by deductor will not give the credit to deductee, and that will result in a mismatch of TDS claimed by him and the TDS paid by us. So the defaults again I am assuming. So due dates for issuing forms, different forms, form number 16, next slide. Form number 16 and form number 16A. Form 16 is annual within June 15th of next following year, and quarterly statement within 15 days of filing the TDS return. And late filing fee, as I told you under section 34E, 200 per day or actual tax, whichever is lower. And PAN, I told you again, without PAN, emphasize everybody, whoever is you are deducting, ask them to have the PAN or obtain the PAN. Obtaining PAN is very easy process now, and otherwise the TDS rate is 20% or as specified in the specific provisions. So irregularities, again the same thing I told you earlier. So any default, all these things, any mistake on part of us will lead to default, and default will result in interest, penalty and prosecution. Either of this. So most of us are knowing that all our cases are having a lot of interest demand, which is because of some default committed by us. So maybe all these defaults can be corrected by revising your statements and reconciling your demands with your challans claim. So section 271C and CA, I told you earlier for non-deduction and correction of TCS, and section 271H for not filing the quarterly returns, not furnishing the correct information, and not obtaining the TAN details. For all these things, section 271H penalty is applicable on deductor. And next is prosecution proceedings, section 276B and BB for TDS and TCS. So as I told you, 3 months to 7 years rigorous imprisonment, and the liability is on deductors. Deductors are directly liable as co-accused. It is not your organization, but you are also. So these are the obligations of deductors. First is deduct, deposit, file quarterly TDS statements, issue TDS certificates. Then, so these are, be relaxed. So these are the few things I wanted to cover all of you. So now we will, I request all my officers, the reporters, please come on to the list.
You can open for questions. That's it, that we need not be called again.
Yes.
We can open for questions.
Yes. So now, having discussed these issues, which are the common mistakes which we identified, and the most common grievance from the, I have my CP grams analysis here.